Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of November 27th, 2016. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Well, early in the week, as we get started, we are going to have some real wake up and look at things as they actually are kind of energy. And in some cases, I gotta be honest, in some cases, this is very rude awakening kind of energy that will be visiting us. And there's a few reasons for this. One is a new moon. So happy new moon, right? But this new moon is speaking with Neptune, and the sun is speaking with Neptune in a conversation of tension. And you add to this Venus speaking with Uranus in a conversation of tension. Well, all of this to me says wake up and smell the coffee. Wake up and look at things as they actually are. There's not going to be a lot of kidding ourselves with this, and wherever it is that maybe there have been some illusions and in some cases really seeing things as we want them to be rather than they are, this is going to be the time when things really start to become more clear. It won't feel more clear at first. There might be a little bit of confusion, a little bit of uncertainty before things become, or at least we're willing to admit how things actually are. So Venus speaking with Uranus, that is, that can play out in love. That can play out in money as well, but certainly in love. And so this is energy you want to watch, because this can be a time when any kind of like major romantic declarations can go in very unexpected ways, not necessarily desirable ways as well. So if you're, waiting to admit that you are the secret admirer, I would give it a little bit of time, right? Let's move away from this new moon. Try and time it a little bit better so that you get as good a result as you can. But also, it's very possible with this energy, if there's someone you've had an eye on, somebody that you've been looking at and hoping for and hoping to approach, that you learn some very interesting things about this person and may feel a little bit like you don't know what to believe. Now, this can play out in other areas as well. Like I said, it can play out in terms of money, large purchases, especially luxury purchases. They can go in ways that you didn't necessarily expect. Not the time to get a tattoo, that's for sure. It will not be what you expect. It'll be something very different. I would reschedule that appointment, and certainly not any plastic surgery as well with a sky like this. You certainly want a very harmonious Venus. You want also a positive Neptune as well if you're thinking about any kind of changes to your appearance, and especially if it is changes to your appearance that you hope will last and bring lasting results. So you may want to ease up on that a little bit as well. Also this week, we will have a brand new month beginning. Happy December. So as you are receiving this, and at the very start of this week, we're still kind of working with this energy of Mercury speaking in supreme harmony with Uranus. If there's any kind of shopping you need to do, it's so great. This conversation was exact as we were finishing last week, right in time for Black Friday. So if there's any kind of last minute shopping that you need to do, I would try to get it done like ASAP, like as soon as possible, because as we move a little bit further into the week, and especially once we get to this new moon early in the week, there's going to be this sense of even spending money, purchases going in really different directions than you had anticipated. So be mindful of that. What you get might not have the kind of impact, especially if it's a gift that you're hoping for. So early in the week really is key. This new moon comes and the energy will change up significantly. Also happening this week as well is we're going to have Mercury enter shadow. So yes, I know I say this quite a bit. I've been doing videos on YouTube for like 8 years now. Actually, just a couple of weeks ago, it was 8 years of doing this. No, it was this month, November, of doing YouTube for 8 years now. It's been an absolute pleasure. But as I look at these last few years, of course, I do mention, because Mercury likes to go into shadow 3, sometimes 4 times a year, does go retrograde 3, sometimes 4 times a year. So we are going to have Mercury go into shadow just as the month is ending and the new month is beginning. Happy December with a Mercury entering shadow. Mid-month, Mercury will go retro. So right about now, you do want to pay attention, because the themes, the topics that arise now, you will be returning to them in the early part of the new year of January. So pay attention to what issues are coming up right about now, because in some way they will be asking for further clarity and for further insight. So absolutely you want to pay attention to that, because as Mercury enters shadow, the very end of the sign of Sag, will then very quickly move into the sign of Capricorn. So the things that we're talking about, the spending habits we have, the way that commerce is running, is going to start to feel a lot more structured, right? A lot more big picture. So right about now, with Mercury moving through Sagittarius, there's lots of energy of generosity and of possibility. And as we move with Mercury into the sign of Capricorn, well, that energy gets a little bit more practical and gets a little bit more future oriented. So if you haven't bought your gifts yet, that's okay, but you may want to consider getting something like, like savings bonds. I know, not the most popular gift, not the sexiest gift even, but these types of things, especially with Mercury in the sign of Capricorn, can actually go much better. But again, we do have Mercury entering shadow. So you will change your mind, or you may change your mind, especially with matters, with issues, with purchases that you make towards the middle of this week and going forward. Also this week, we are going to have Mars doing some really interesting things as well. Mars is going to reach out in supreme harmony with Jupiter and also speak in harmony with Saturn as well. Now, I think that this is going to be the thing that changes up the energy. So this is as we move further into the week. We're going to have, like most of this week, either building towards the new moon or having to deal with this new moon energy early in the week. And then we get to the later part of the week and the energy changes up. Happiness comes back in, empowerment comes in. We're able to see the big picture. We're able to see the wisdom, and we're able to understand how it is that we can work what is taking place to our advantage. As much as things may seem a little confusing, a little bit disillusioning, and a little bit like you wish that things could be different, you wish that things could be better, as much as there might be that in the early part of the week, very quickly as we get to the end, it's like action plans are being made. Reconsiderations, right? Some of the best of Mercury has to do with reconsidering, reimagining. All of that will start to happen. And with Mars, there's absolute empowerment in the mix as well. With Mars moving through a part of the sky that has to do with, well, the sign of Aquarius, has to do with things like social movements, activism, humanitarian efforts. These are the types of endeavors that a lot of people are going to feel in particular empower them. And so we should notice that on a collective level. More personally, this is really about empowering yourself so that you move your life in a direction where you feel that you're actually building towards something that matters to you, building towards a future, or even just building towards a present reality that feels more hopeful and more full of possibility. Some of that possibility we will see, will come about through a long-term plan and committing to it. But thankfully, with a sky like this, and with a real dose of looking at things as they are, we will be motivated to do that work. That positive change sometimes asks for, but really that positive change, when it's going to give its absolute best, demands. Well, thank you so much for watching the introduction. I'm truly so grateful for it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up. It does mean so much. So I am in Istanbul. It's very exciting. There's a whole lot going on. It's been very demanding, but super, super rewarding. I have been sharing a lot of that journey on Instagram as well. So here I've had a little bit of a schedule as well. Well, quite a bit of a schedule and a demanding one, but very, again, rewarding. I absolutely love it. But there's been lots of teaching of classes, meeting with other astrologers, trying to catch up on personalized horoscopes. I know there've been a whole lot of orders, and also considering the sky, learning new things, which I hope will show in my work and in my practice. So as part of all this stuff happening, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep the horoscope part of this a little bit brief, but I will go through every sign very soon, right about now, and hopefully, do what I do, which is affirm in the universe that the universe is wise and loving. That really is the motivation to everything I do. And I'm so grateful that you are here. My intention, my hope is that with this video, in some way, you are reminded of this very sacred truth and are filled with some inspiration, some hope, and some sense that indeed in your life, no matter how it looks on the surface, and no matter how it looks this week in particular with these aspects, with this new moon that we have happening here, no matter how it appears on the surface, there is absolutely a move. There's absolutely an energy there that you can tap to, that is there to remind you that ultimately that is what we are here to do, to more fully embody love and wisdom. I hope this video reminds you of this very sacred truth. So how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you and your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week, we've got this new moon playing out in part of the sky for you that has to do with long distance travel, citizenship, immigration issues. It also has to do with higher education and legal matters as well. This absolutely is not the time to initiate any big occurrences or documents in particular where it comes to either of these areas of life. If you are in an institute of higher learning, whether you are teaching there or working there or you're a student, this can be a time when there could be a little bit of mix-up taking place. So just be mindful of that. Sometimes, I think right about now, exams happen as well as we get to the end of the semester, if my memory serves me correct from my university days. And so this would be a time that you really want to check and double check where your exams are taking place and things like that. Make sure you understand the material that's going to be covered, like before you start studying. That's the kind of thing that you want to watch. And like I said, I would reschedule any kind of interviews or any kind of submission of documents that have to do, any kind of filing that has to do with legal matters, citizenship matters, and the like. This also can be a time if you're doing any long distance traveling where either the process ends up going a little bit different than you had planned. And this also could be a time when you're questioning as a result of engaging in some long distance travel. You end up questioning some of your own beliefs. Now that can be when travel is at its very best, but ultimately this is meant to lead you to a greater sense of empowerment. And that certainly is coming as we get to the end of the week. Aries, when it comes to matters of love, we have Venus speaking with Uranus in a conversation of tension. This is romantic surprises that really could go any which way. I would be mindful to really be on your very best with bosses and people in positions of authority, or even in spaces where they might be or see you. Okay, that would be a really good idea as well. This can also be a time when you have some idea of some direction in which you're going with your partner, but your partner might have some very different ideas at that. Of course, there's nothing like talking and creating a plan to go forward. And there's nothing like understanding each other that really can help you to move forward and feel like you're moving forward together. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week, your ruling planet Venus will speak with Uranus. Now, this is pretty intense. This is very much an awakening. This is happening in fellow Earth sign with Venus in fellow Earth sign Capricorn, which means you'll be able to use this energy that much more to your advantage. If you're doing any traveling right about now, especially flying, this can be a time when really things go in very different directions. So just be mindful of that. Plan a little bit ahead for something like that. I mean, I'm just really seeing like very unexpected changes taking place that in some way may end up with some really interesting stories as a result. We've also got this new moon happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with what we call other people's money. So this is grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, tax returns, that type of thing. So you just want to be a little bit mindful of any kind of, like, make sure that your bill payments are set. Make sure that you are mindful that every bill is being paid, because it almost looks like you may accidentally oversee one of those payments that needs to happen, like a mortgage payment, for example. So just strive to be really meticulous with just a little bit of attention. You can avoid what otherwise would be more challenging. Now, where it comes to matters of love, that Venus speaking with Uranus could bring some very interesting love-related moments. If you're striving to meet somebody new, I mean, I see this and I think, you know, if you're meeting somebody online, they may actually be in a very different part of the world than you realize. And if you are somebody in an established bond, it looks like there's a real desire on your part to like break free and take on some adventure together, but it may be that plans need to be worked out in ways that are different than originally hoped for, expected. Just pace yourself, talk things out. It really does go a long way towards empowering and strengthening the bond that you have. Hello, Fabulous Gemini. This week we've got that new moon in your opposite sign. Now that new moon is happening in a part of the sky that has to do with partnerships. Those of you in an established bond very likely are going to have to come to some new understanding, some new chapter with your partner, and it could happen very much by surprise at that, and it could be in some way financially motivated. So whether it is, and particularly it could be your partner's income or source of income going through some change. Perhaps your partner needs to relocate. That is very possible with energy like this, or their schedule changes dramatically, and this lends itself to feeling a need to have a fresh start or a fresh understanding or a brand new beginning with your partner. It could also be that your partner is the one who has to adjust to some disappointment before they get to empowerment, and empowerment certainly is right there. In fact, whatever it is that does show up within an established bond, it looks like by the time we get to the end of the week, you're making plans and you're feeling very excited about the possibilities. So it really is just a temporary moment that ultimately will lend itself to absolute empowerment. Now, where it comes to those of you who are open to meeting someone new, a sky like this does suggest you very well could meet someone new, but a sky like this also suggests that they could end up being very different than is at first appearance. So again, just pace yourself. If just doing that, right? Allowing people to show you who they are. And also, like when, as Maya Angelou said, when people do show you who they are, believe them. That really can go a long way towards helping you to navigate this time to your advantage, and also to learn whatever it is that you need from the people and the situations that you very likely are going to attract now. Hello, Fabulous Cancer. What an exciting week it is for all of us. Well, the excitement sort of comes in waves, if you will, and you are somebody who knows how to ride waves, that's for sure. So we've got this new moon happening at the very early part of the week, and this new moon is happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with work and the work that you are doing. So this is like your coworkers, your workspace, the clients that you have. These very people are going to be asking for some of your attention, but it's also possible that some of these people might not be as straightforward as you may like. So as I look at the sky, a few things come to mind. One is, just strive to be aware of like the people around you, especially when you're working. There is that possibility of some gossip. In some very small cases, it's also possible that some not as honest behavior takes place. I'm so sorry about that, but it is possible for a very small percentage of you as well, where it comes to dealing with your coworkers. And for those of you who are like self-employed or deal with clients on a regular basis, it could also be that you're not getting the complete picture in some way. But what's really great is, especially as we move towards the later part of the week, we have this very empowering energy that starts to fit in, that starts to take place. And in particular, a lot of the empowering energy is focused on what we like to call other people's money. So this is, a time when you could get like more credit, a higher loan, a better mortgage rate. Things like that could come about where very quickly you realize how you can empower yourself to attract the resources that you need. This also could be a time when you come up with some really good wealth building ideas as well. Now, where it comes to love, we have Venus moving through your opposite sign, speaking with Uranus. If anyone is going to get sort of a love-related shock, it is you, I gotta say. So if you are in an established bond, it is very possible that your spouse could come to you with a very surprising perspective, put it that way. Like you really were like, wow, I did not see that coming. I am seeing some Cancers say that. Or where you see this whole other part of you. I remember someone telling me they'd been married for almost 2 decades, and they said, there are times when their partner still does things that surprise them, that make them go, oh, wow, okay, that's who you are. Well, you can expect a moment like that. If you are open to meeting someone new, someone new could come very, very quickly. Come in with a very strong wind almost as well. And, there's a very surprising energy here. It looks like there's mixed feelings that could take place. So strive to be gentle, right? If things aren't going exactly as you would plan, exactly as you would expect, really just being patient, giving it time, being gentle. It goes a whole long way towards smoothing our journey through life. Hello, Fabulous Leo. This week we've got that new moon happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with flirtation and dating. So as I look at this energy and as I look at the fact that there's not a whole lot very clear in this sky, this can play out a couple of different ways. One is I think someone could be flirting with you and you really have no idea. Like it just goes completely over your head until somebody kind of like after the fact kind of shakes you and says, do you realize that that person is flirting with you? Well, what you do with it, completely up to you, of course. But also, as I look at this sky with this particular energy, just remember there's a lack of clarity all around with this. And so, you know, you might think somebody is flirting with you, but it really, that is not what is happening. And so just be mindful of that, right? And just enjoy yourself, really. That goes a long way. And if something's meant to be in the bigger picture, it will manifest more naturally. I really love, like where it comes to matters of love, I really do love that you've got Mars in your opposite sign. And as we get to the end of the week, is speaking in harmony with Jupiter, is speaking in harmony with Saturn as well. So there's a real sense of a big picture perspective of a friend kind of like setting you straight and putting you on a much more empowering track can be part of this energy as well. And so, you know, it's almost as if I'm seeing maybe someone that you thought liked you or you were interested in. There might be a little bit of like, oh, okay, that's what's really going on kind of feeling is possible. But then as we move towards the end of the week, it's almost like you get an understanding of what love and attraction and flirting is really supposed to be. And I think that that feeling towards the end of the week is one that you will enjoy a whole lot. Also this week, if you are in an established bond, the time to watch, really, I think the strongest energy in an established bond is going to be that Mars. It looks like some plans are being made. Excitement is to be had. I also got to say, lots of fertile energy with this sky. Okay, so if that's something you want, lots of cosmic support to make something like that happen. If you are an artist of any kind, if you use your creativity, whether it's for a living, for personal fulfillment, whatever the case may be, this is not the best time to be like, you know, announcing, showcasing your art in any big kind of way or sharing your art necessarily, in all honesty. Anything new, that is, right? If it's something you've been doing, if you're Justin Bieber and you're out there and you're touring every single night, keep going, doing your thing, awesome. But if it's different, if it's something new that you're trying to pitch to somebody or a new song that you're gearing up to perform, then I would say try and just stick to the established kind of stuff. And the reason I say that is because there is an energy here of, you know, maybe somebody getting some insights, being very strongly influenced by your work in ways that may not feel very comfortable to you. So try and stick to the stuff that's good and established instead of launching brand new stuff, especially with this new moon. Again, as we get to the end of the week, there's just so much empowerment, positive energy taking place. It's just a small moment and you'll be glad that you waited. Hello, Fabulous Virgo. What an exciting week it is all around for all of us. Really thanks to that new moon. It certainly is, there's going to be a sense of fresh starts, a sense of looking at things from a new perspective, from a different perspective. Now you have got this new moon happening at the very base of your sky. So this has to do with home. This has to do with family. This has to do with family of origin in particular. So these particular areas are going to ask for your attention. Certainly not a time for you to be, you know, buying, selling, moving. I would really not do that. Use this new moon in that sense. It looks like there may be a lack of clarity around that. It looks like if you try to buy something new or move, it's going to be something different than you anticipated. And it's also very possible that just as you think that you've got it, things change. The agreement changes as well. So certainly not the time to move or make any major changes to your living space as well, especially aesthetically. I would also encourage you to maybe not go in that direction as well. It's also possible with this energy of just, you know, in one swoop, spending a whole lot of money, and especially on stuff that maybe in retrospect you feel doesn't really matter. So keep that in mind. This also could be a time when you have to be with family in some way, spend time with family in some way. I would be very mindful with things like, money, mixing money and family with this energy, because it looks like for a very small percentage of you, you may not be getting the whole picture. You may not be getting the whole story. And you may be thinking that the information you're getting is accurate, that, what's being told to you is accurate, what this person needs, they're being honest with you. Again, very small percentage of you out there that this is going to be relevant to, but just keep in mind, don't take things necessarily at face value. And also with this energy, things like whether they know it or not, just passing on, one of your family members passing on information that in the bigger picture might not be completely clear and accurate is also possible with this. Now, where it comes to matters of love, you've got Venus moving through a part of the sky for you that has to do with getting your flirt on. And that could go in some very dramatically different directions, I gotta say, with a sky like this. So if you are trying to meet somebody new, it looks like some show of romance or affection or admiration could go very, very in ways that you did not plan, in directions that you did not plan. Maybe even getting somebody, making a declaration that somebody that you may not even be very interested in as well. Also, I look at this in terms of established bonds. Just be mindful about making any kind of big romantic, particularly if a lot of money is involved. Those kind of plans, I would hold off on that at least until we get to the end of the week. If you can do that, then you will find the plans that are made are those that, and again, in the fullness of time, a lot more becomes clear, but plans that are made towards the later part of the week, regardless of when they come to fruition, regardless of when you live them through, those plans look to be ones that have outcomes you really feel good about. Hello, Fabulous Libra. This week, we've got a whole lot going on, and that includes for you as well. We've got this new moon in Saturn taking place. Now, this new moon is speaking with Neptune. It's happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. I have to say, because of some of this energy, there's a small percentage of you out there where things might not be as they seem or as you're being told, particularly by one of these people. And they may not even realize it. They may be passing along information that is not what it could be, not as clear as it could be. And so you just want to be a little bit mindful of that with this energy. And also, it could just be a conversation right now that lends itself to more confusion, or you have a conversation and you think it means one thing, you think you've understood one thing, but the reality is something very different. That can also happen now. So it does help to really be meticulous with, confirming what it is that you've been told. That includes writing down directions. That includes, written communication. Right about now, you may think you're sending a private email, but it may not end up being very private at all. So keep that in mind. Don't write anything or even say anything that you wouldn't be comfortable with a whole lot of people knowing. Certainly not the time to gossip or even listen to gossip. The information you get certainly might not be accurate, and in some cases not accurate at all. Now, when it comes to matters of love, we've got Venus right now moving through the bottom of your sky. I look at this and I think if you're looking to the past and looking to someone that you were with maybe long ago or not so long ago, if you're looking to the past for, whether it's reconciliation, reconnection, whatever the case may be, it's not going to go the way that you hope. I'm sorry to say that. And also, it could also be a time when you hear about someone from the past, to hear something from the past, like maybe even online, run into a post online about a decision or some change that someone you were connected to in the past that they've made that takes you a little bit by surprise, in case shocking surprise as well. But it's all good. It's all good. You're moving into the future, and that's what this energy is meant to help you to do. Not look to the past, but look towards a very inspiring future ahead of you. And if you're in an established bond, I think that this is a time to, I think about what's happening on home front. There's a lot of very busy energy and possibly very quick, chaotic energy happening on home front. So that is where normally people like to keep the peace, right? People like to keep the calm. But don't worry, as we move towards the later part of the week, we've got a really nice connection of Mars to Jupiter in your sign. So what seems daunting, what seems like, oh my God, where did this come from? Now what are we going to do with this? will find an ease and a grace as we move towards the end of the week. Hello, Fabulous Scorpio. What an exciting week it is for all of us. There's a whole lot going on right about now. And of course, that includes for you. The thing is that this new moon, as I said in the intro, is one where there's not a lot of clarity happening, right? And there might even be a little bit of a, having to accept things as they are. And some, feeling a little bit of disillusionment around this time as well. So I'm so sorry to say this, but this is happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with income and spending. Again, I'm so sorry to say this, but it does look like right around this time, there could be a large expense that shows up, a new expense. I would also be mindful with this time because if you're asked for money, right, this is where you want to be a little bit careful because circumstances might not be as they seem on the surface. And it is possible with this that maybe whether it's conscious or not, right? Maybe somebody doesn't realize that the information they're going on, or maybe they have the best of intentions with this, right? But it does look like there might be some not accurate information and maybe even a small percentage of you out there, maybe some dishonesty as well in terms of financial dealing. So you just want to be a little bit mindful of that. And, I would also say, like, if it's rarely urgent, right? That's the thing. It's rarely urgent, a request. And so if it seems like there's a large purchase or a large spending that has to happen, then you can ask yourself if it's really urgent and how relevant it actually feels. And check in with yourself. There's something deep within us, and especially for you, there's an awareness of Scorpios that life has layers and people have complexities, and sometimes they will, make choices and go in directions that maybe aren't as straight up as we would hope they would be, to, quote Paula Abdul there. And that can be a part of life, and that doesn't mean that they're any less amazing or lovable, but that can just be a part of life. And so be mindful of that could happen now. And again, just pace yourself, try to give yourself time and see how this plays out. Now, one of the ways that this energy can work in your favor is if you're trying to figure out how it is that you can do something that feels more spiritually oriented to earn your money. However you understand that, right? Something more meaningful. There might be that desire that awakens in you now to do work that feels meaningful for you. And really the key here is to try and find meaning right now where you are with the work that you are doing and to go forward from there. Scorpio, when it comes to matters of love, we have Venus moving through a part of the sky that has to do with communication. And also the written word, the internet, online world, not the time to be going online to look for love. What you get could be very different than what you expect. And also who you attract may be very different than you expect. Also with this energy, I do think if you're in an established bond, this is the time when your words could be understood very differently. And there may be something that you're doing and saying out of, a feeling of trying to get your partner to understand something, and it ends up, going in directions you didn't expect. So this is the time to just be gentle, be kind with the people around you. There's something about, kindness and sensitivity and being open to understanding what it is that your partner will be receptive to and what they won't. That sensitivity really can go a long way towards ensuring a stronger love. Hello, Fabulous Sagittarius. Well, you are at the center of the party in the early part of the week, that's for sure. We've got a new moon taking place, and this new moon is happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with you. It's in your sign. So this is about who you know yourself to be. This is about like your identity and the things that matter to you first, the things that matter to you most. So it's the thing that, you most understand when you say, I am. What are the first words that come up? Well, those words are going to go through a little bit of self-reflection and a little bit of change as well. So there's a need here to be honest with yourself, the possibility of maybe not being as honest as, maybe in other circumstances you would be able to be. And also an energy here that says that, maybe you don't really have that much of a choice. Maybe some way that you thought you were, the reality is actually something very different. And that reality, that awareness could come on in a very surprising moment. And so this would certainly be the time to be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, of course, but also be open to contemplating who it is that you are at your best and considering ways to be more of that, again, at your very, very best. I would also say there may be, for a small percentage of you out there, a little temptation this week to fudge the truth, right? Maybe fudge the numbers, play with numbers a little bit, a little something could be possible. That temptation will be there. It may seem like the most normal, natural thing. I would advise, sort of holding back on that a little bit, especially with a sky like this. It really could have consequences that are not the way that you would like things to go. Also, where it comes to matters of love, this could be a time with the way Venus is speaking with Uranus. If you are somebody who is open to meeting someone new or just getting to know somebody, I would really be mindful not mixing money and dating. Okay, and again, this is for new connections at that. Try not to mix money and dating. If you meet somebody and it's the very first date and they're hitting you up for a money that you consider is a lot of money, be mindful of that, right? That could be a signal to you about what's happening. And this also could be really like if you are with somebody that you feel has your heart, this could be some truth that comes forward in some very surprising moments. But as I look at this also could be your partner going out of their way, maybe spending a lot of money on something that is not what is really needed in the moment. Certainly, I would say if you're spending a lot of money towards any luxury related items, just wait, right? This will not be the time to make that purchase, whether it's for you or a gift for someone you love. Hello, Fabulous Capricorn. This week we've got Venus in your sign speaking with Uranus. If there's anyone out there who should not be getting a tattoo right about now, it certainly is you. And if there's anyone out there who is likely to get talked into it and who really shouldn't be, be drinking and being merry and letting yourself get talked into things, it certainly is you. So just be mindful of that. This might not be the best time to really, toast repeatedly, clink the bottles repeatedly. Might not be the best time to do that. Not early this week, certainly, because like I said, just the likelihood of you then, sort of stumbling into a tattoo parlor and getting lots of stars tattooed on your face when that's not your normal mode of being does become possible with energy like this. So just be mindful. I would also say it's also possible where it comes to matters of love, where it comes to matters of heart, it's possible with this energy of getting very caught up in a moment, feeling like you've been swept away, feeling like, you've met the one and just taking things in a whole direction. And then the sun rises and things look very, very different in the light of day. So again, ultimately, just do what you want to do. If you do what you want to do, there's not going to be a lot of regret. But just be mindful that some of this energy is there that says the way that you think things are at first might not be the reality of the situation. I mean, really, it could just be as simple as you meeting somebody in the club or by candlelight, and then you go outside and you see things in a completely different perspective. Like stuff like that can happen. So just be a little bit mindful of that as you're interacting with the world. I would also say if you're in an established bond with energy like this, the thing is that I look at this energy and it just looks like there may be a desire on your part to have some kind of romantic expression, but there might also be with this a little bit of a lapse of judgment in some way. And the fact is that with this energy, just things going in very unexpected directions is very strong with this. And also, in all honesty, there's an element here for you in particular that has to do with sacrifice. That may have to do with a little bit of, getting in your own way. And so it could be that some intention that you may have actually goes in a very different direction, has a very different effect. You may give a very generous gift, but it ends up meaning something different to your partner and ends up, reaching them in a way that ends up being hurtful or create some distance. So that's the kind of thing that I'm hoping that you will avoid. Just a little bit of awareness and sensitivity. As I've been saying, when you've got the sky like this, your consciousness is everything. When you've got a sky like this, the key really is to strive to be honest with yourself as much as possible. That can go a really long way to ensuring that things go as smooth and as positively as possible. In other news, Capricorn, one area that's going really well for you as we get to the end of the week is finances. It's money. Money's going really well. Power moves are being made. The chance for you to experience some boost in income, or even just to make a purchase that goes exceptionally well for you and has lots of positive long-term consequences seems especially likely. So do be sure to, of course, keep the big picture in mind. But if you get a shot to raise your bottom line, to raise your income, this would be the chance, and this would be the time at the end of the week to absolutely not only take it, but to knock that chance out of the park for a win. Hello, Fabulous Aquarius. What an exciting week it is all around for all of us, really. We've got a start of the week that holds surprises and holds things maybe not being what they appear, and then very surprisingly, things get crystal clear. We've got that kind of energy early in the week. And for you, a lot of this energy really is going to play out in the realm of friendships. And so this could be a time when you want to be mindful, because it just looks like where it comes to matters of a friendship, things might not be as they appear. It may be like nothing intentional, nothing mean-spirited at all, but it could be, as I look at this, that a friend either comes to you with a proposal or gives you some information that might not be accurate. So just keep that in mind and give them a little bit of leeway. The other possibility with this is that a friend just gets a little bit too tipsy and maybe gets a little bit too revealing. Things like that can happen under a sky like this. Now, this is just early in the week that you want to be mindful of this, but it does look like some of these situations and the possibility for a very small percentage of you, the possibility of some disappointment, some way that you were hoping a friend would come through for you, only related to a friend, but hoping that a friend would come through for you is there. I would say rely on yourself this week more than anything. If you do that, you are working with the winning aspects this week. In particular, Mars in your sign as we get to the end of the week, speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter, speaking with Saturn. What this energy tells me is that real sense of things moving in a direction that feels stable, that feels strong, things moving in a direction where you feel empowered and optimistic. This could be the chance to do a whole lot of different things. A chance to travel may come up. The whole world may feel like it's excitingly opening up to you. And also with this energy, I mean, this is really like being smart about the actions you take with a friend in particular. This could be having that key conversation to be understood by a particular friend as well. And this could also be just understanding what part of a larger community you actually belong to. So there's lots of empowering, wonderful things and opportunities and ways that you're going to be moving forward in every area of life, really, but particularly with your plans, particularly with feeling very optimistic about the future, and even with friendships as well. That's where you want to focus your energy, not so much on the, possibility of misunderstandings that could take place in the early part of the week. Now, where it comes to matters of love, I mean, really for you in particular this week, it's all about like secrets being revealed. The thing that you didn't expect to find out, you come to find out. Like that's the kind of energy I'm seeing here. And in particular, if you are just getting to know somebody, this could be a time when, things start to become more clear about what's really going on, and it may take you a little bit aback. Energy like this could have you, very interested in somebody and then realizing that they like a different gender. Like that's the kind of energy we have here. It could at the very least give you an interesting story. And if you're in an established bond, this could be a time when there's a realization that's set to take place for you. Again, it could just lend itself to a very interesting story, but it does look like at the very least there's going to be some moment of honesty that is set to take place for you. It could go as profound as the nature of your relationship, but it could also be just your partner planning something that they didn't realize is actually very silly. They didn't realize you actually wouldn't be so crazy about, but perhaps the intentions were good. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we've got a new moon happening. It's happening at the very top of your sky. And this is a part of the sky that has to do with your career. It has to do with an understanding of your life purpose, the direction that you're moving in. And as I look at the sky, I gotta say, this might not be the time to launch some of your, most hopeful career plans. It just looks like the outcomes could be what you're either not expecting or, even what you're not hoping for. It's almost as if you need to refine the vision a little bit before you actually do launch. And so I look at this and I think that your heart may be very set on some new opportunity or new prospect. But again, try to pace yourself if at all possible. If it's not possible, then it's not. It is the way that it is. But if it is possible, try to pace yourself a little bit. This also could be a time if you are interviewing for a new opportunity, a new position. This also could be a time when the outcome ends up being something very different than you anticipated. So it's almost as if you go in and you think that the job entails one thing, and then once you start, it ends up being something very different. Now, this isn't just job, this is like career. So this is like something that you thought would really help you to advance yourself, ends up being different than you anticipated. So again, just pace yourself if you can. If you can wait until you take that interview, until you make that decision, if you're going to accept it, that might be a good thing, particularly if you can wait until we get to the end of the week, because that looks like a time when you're able to, like more clarity starts to come, and ultimately it is clarity that feels very empowering at that. And where it comes to matters of love, matters of heart, you've got Venus right now moving through a part of the sky that has to do with friendships. If a friend makes a declaration of love right now, it could just take everybody by shock. And that includes you as well. This would not be the time if you're trying to meet somebody new, if you have a friend, whether it is that you're interested in them or you're interested in their friend, or you want them to hook you up with somebody, or they have somebody in mind that they want to hook you up with to go on a blind date. Avoid all those scenarios if possible. Just for a little while, just for a few days if you can. In a few weeks' time, as we move a little bit towards the end of the year, as we move into the new year in particular, Venus is going to move into your sign. You are going to be one of the very favored to have love and have the kind of love that you want. And so if you can, again, pace yourself a little bit, or at least just not early this week. Like really, that's it. Early this week, if you go on a blind date that your friend set you up with, what you get may very well surprise you, if not shock you. And ultimately might show you something interesting about yourself, about somebody else. Of course, it's up to you to decide whatever it is that you want to do with that. If you're in an established bond, this would be a time when I would say there are moments when it's good to keep like friends and love separate, to focus in more on one direction than another. And it looks like it's the quietest moments, right? It's the moments when you're alone with this person, you're in their arms, you're falling asleep. Like these are the types of moments now that are going to strengthen the bond more than anything. So try not to bring other people into the mix, right? Sometimes it's nice to have other people around, and a lot of relationships, they have that characteristic. Some relationships have the characteristic of having lots of people around a lot of the time, and that can be a beautiful thing. But a time like this, it just looks like downtime, private time alone with this person you love goes a really long way towards strengthening that bond in the bigger picture. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.